Good morning, my dear friends. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Sarita. I don't know why I said good morning, because probably I'm going to upload this in the afternoon. So happy afternoon. Morning for me, though. I have some amazing Starbucks here. I tried out a new roast today because... Spoiler alert, I was going to mention this during coffee week, but I'll mention it now. The new amazing clover machines that I've actually teased in several coffee videos like months ago, they have finally landed at a lot of Starbucks across the country. I would imagine most of them, because if it's if it has reached my little one-horse town here in rural Virginia, surely it has to be almost everywhere now. So these big clover machines, actually, here's a picture of it. Again, I was gonna like wait on this and show it later, but here's a clover machine, and it's like this huge machine with several tanks of beans at the top. And this way they can brew on demand up to, I think, like 6 different beans. Basically on demand. So it's like a French press, but it does it electronically. And so it's much easier for the baristas as well. They can give you like an amazingly fresh cup of coffee, basically in a matter of seconds, from a whole range of different beans, and they don't have to throw away as much coffee. They don't have to brew enormous pots of it and then throw it out if people don't buy it. So it's just good across the board, although I'm sure those machines cost an enormous amount of money. I was a little disappointed to see that like fully like 3 or 4 of those tanks was filled up with Pike's Place. Ah, what a waste. If you're new to my coffee reviews and new to my Starbucks reviews, you may not know, and I will just say it because I do say it all the time. Pike's Place is one of their worst brews, and it's basically like their house coffee. So, or like a house wine when you go to a restaurant. This is your house wine. It's a very lowest common denominator kind of offering that if you don't know better to ask for something different, that's what you're gonna get. That is Pike's Place for Starbucks coffee. So if you just ask for a cup of coffee, they're gonna give you Pike's Place. And between us, it's really not a very good brew. So I don't love the fact that in this particular Starbucks, like most of the tanks were full of Pike's Place, which is absurd. Ugh. Just put other beans in there. I know they're probably like, well, if we don't use them, then it's a waste, blah, blah, blah. Then educate the people coming in and be like, here's all our brews. I can give you our house blend, or would you like... But Pike's Place probably is very cheap for them. At any rate, this is a new brew for them. It's called Milano. And very smartly, they have marketed, there are 2 versions of Milano. It's over by the registers, I think, right now, because they're promoting it. Milano Sole, Milano Luna. So Sole is the sun, Luna, of course, is the moon. Milano Sole is their like light roast, and then their Milano Luna is their dark roast. So I'm a dark roast girl. I tried Luna. Luna is not bad. Luna is not bad. It's not my favorite brew, that's for sure. It is similar to Italian roast, which I do not like personally. But Italian roast is actually very, very popular. So if you like their Italian roast, you will probably like Milano. I can't speak to the Sole because I don't do light roast. It often gets acidic for me and has more caffeine. I like the dark, I like the rich. And if you're a candle person and you watch my candle reviews, it's probably absolutely no surprise to you that my tastes gravitate in that direction. So Luna is not bad. It does remind me a bit of the Italian roast. It's a little flat for me. It's very earthy, and it does kind of coat the back of the mouth and the throat with this kind of like thick, almost bitter like aftertaste, which I don't love, but it is better to me than Italian. It's a little more dynamic than Italian roast and a little bit richer, I think, than Italian roast, even though it's still somewhat flat. So yeah, but the bar for me is very low to be better than Italian roast for this genre, because I can't stand Italian roast. So I would order it again, especially if it was the only dark roast available. Come on, Starbucks, get your act together. And I'm talking to the local chapters right now. Get your act together. I don't want to see those tanks full of Pike's Place, please. Okay. All right, so I've definitely hijacked enough of this video on something that is not candle related, but I do have a great candle for you. Well, no, that's misleading. That's a bait and switch. It's not a great candle, but it is a candle from Homeworx, and it is Palo Santo and Pumpkin. So this came out new last year, and you know I wanted to try it because I am the self-proclaimed Palo Santo queen. I love a Palo Santo note. I adore Bath & Body Works Palo Santo note, and I adore the concept of Palo Santo Pumpkin. It just seems like it writes itself. It is perfect. It makes sense. Wood often has a very like cozy, rugged kind of feel to it just in and of itself. And so therefore very well leaning into cozier weather, fall season, even before you add smoke or something like that. And so to add a pumpkin spice with a beautiful, complex kind of wood smell is just fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Like I said, beautiful and gorgeous concept. I don't understand why Bath & Body Works has not done anything with their Palo Santo note. It boggles my mind, and I will definitely be reporting to the corporate office soon. I need to call them and give them an earful, which I'm sure that they're going to appreciate from me, because they have an amazing, I think, one of the best Palo Santo notes that I've smelled from any major company. And of course they have Palo Santo and vanilla, and they have Palo Santo and sage, which is my personal favorite, as well as their original Palo Santo fragrance. But after that, they've really done absolutely nothing with it, and it amazes me to no end, because I really think that it's a better note, a more versatile note than their teakwood note, for instance, that they've done in 50 million different formats and continue to do. And I do think teakwood is a little bit past its prime. I do think we are in the Palo Santo era. And when Homeworx scooped them with the Palo Santo Pumpkin last year, I literally straight up thought that somebody lost their job at Bath & Body Works. Obviously not, because we have gone an entire season and we have not gotten a rejoinder from Bath & Body Works. We have not gotten a Palo Santo Pumpkin Spice candle. Incredible! As I said in an earlier video, maybe last week or the week before that, at least give us a Palo Santo Spice. At least give us a Palo Santo Plum or something like that. I mean, this is going on craziness. This is going on craziness. All right, so Palo Santo Pumpkin came out for Homeworx last year. I wanted it badly, but I just wasn't able to get it. And it was never included in a sale that I was able to spring for on the Homeworx website. I was one of those people that was not lucky enough to find it out in the wild at Marshall's or TJ Maxx. However, the reports on it from reviewers is that the strength and throw was so minimal that at the same time, I really wasn't willing to spend an enormous amount of money on it regardless. So I let that season go, and then when it came back this year, I was so excited because I thought, yes, maybe they will have heard the customer feedback and given us a stronger version. Spoiler alert, they have not. I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say they have not. That said, I did not experience the version last year, so I can't give you like a really educated or informed comparison or contrast on that. I'm just gonna assume that they didn't do anything to improve the strength throw or performance on this candle. We're gonna get to that in a second. We were crazy town. We were crazy town with these wicks. At any rate, here's Palo Santo Pumpkin. I bought this one off of the Slatkin website when they were having a pretty good sale a few weeks back, and was able to get some of their new ones, including Forest Blackberry, which I'm actually burning off camera right now, and I do not like. About halfway done. I am burning not one, but 2 hate burns in my guest bathroom right now. It's a red letter day, okay? And then one in the back bedroom. But yes, I bought several like newer candles from Harry Slatkin. This was one of them, and as irony and luck would have it in life, I, like a day after this arrived in my house, I found one in the wild at TJ Maxx or Marshall's. Looks like it was probably a Marshall's or a Home Goods. And this was in Richmond. It is a 3-wick though. So 3-wick versus the 4-wick. And I should have taken this one back. It was $12.99. I should have taken this one back or not bought it to begin with. But I just felt like I found it. It was under a stack of candles, and I found it after 2 years of looking for this candle. And damn it, I was bringing it home. Also, I was kind of curious because I know that there's an ongoing debate about like, are the Marshalls and TJ Maxx candles significantly different in quality from like the candles that you would just get off of the Slatkin & Co. website? So there was that. And then I also kind of wanted to see the difference between the 3 and 4 wicks, see if there was any difference there. And when I smelled this little one in the store at Marshall's, I thought I was getting a significantly more bonfire-ish kind of vibe from it than I got from this one. But really, it was just because I was smelling it in the store. It was competing with a lot of other things. And when I smelled them next to each other, it was like, yeah, it's the same candle. This one actually, the 3-wick did actually smell a little bit stronger in the jar or in the container than on cold than the 4-wick, weirdly. But in burning it, it was just not the case. So they are the same candle, and it looks like they were burned within a month of each other. So the 4-wick, or poured, the 4-wick was poured in March of this year, and then this one, the 3-wick, was poured in May of this year. So relatively close to each other. So the notes on Palo Santo Pumpkin are Palo Santo, pumpkin puree, cinnamon stick, and suede wood. So leather wood, pumpkin, and cinnamon. So kind of bare bones, to be perfectly honest. And it's very nice. It's a lovely fragrance. It's very well balanced. Yes, a considerable amount of it is wood, and I'm really grateful for that, and I think that it's not like false advertising in that respect. It's a very nice wood. Yes, it could be Palo Santo, but to be honest, it could also be cedar. It's super close to a cedar note. And it's a beautiful, rich pumpkin spice. And I did not realize this until I burned it, but it is extremely ginger forward. Very ginger forward. And I should have noticed that right off. But like I said, once it was burned, it was like ginger central, which I kind of liked. I mean, it's a dry ginger, right? It's a dry ground ginger kind of smell. But it actually made it very similar in experience to Cozy Sunday Night from Bath & Body Works, which is a beautiful, dark, rich pumpkin spice with some graham, as in graham cracker overtones, and then what I think is kind of a cedar nuance underneath. So Cozy Sunday Night has less of a wood smell than Palo Santo does, at least on cold, but even once burned. And is much stronger and more powerful, at least on cold. But they're actually kind of similar in terms of the candle, like, makeup. And like I said, when I burned Palo Santo, both versions, I was amazed at how much ginger was coming out. And I thought to myself, experiencing it, this actually comes across a lot like Cozy Sunday Night, because Cozy Sunday Night has a deep, rich pumpkin spice that's very ginger forward with the wood nuance. And so, like I said, categorically, they're kind of very similar. I mean, performance-wise, Cozy Sunday Night left both versions and iterations in the dust. We're going to get to that in a second. Yesterday, I was sniffing some of my my recent purchases from Marshalls and TJ Maxx and from Slatkin, from Homeworx. And this was one of the ones that I picked up about a week or two ago. Autumn Pumpkin Patch, which I'm not familiar with, but, you know, I mean, like, Harry Slatkin has a ton of holiday candles. Hey, this one has the plastic. Apparently, there are a lot of candles now that are coming without plastic, without these dust covers, to Marshalls and TJ Maxx, and possibly from Slatkin too. Maybe they're doing away with them. I have no idea. Anyway, this one does have it, and it does have lovely orange wax. And the reason that I bring this up is because when I was sniffing it yesterday, I'm like, ooh, this is really ginger forward too. It's a very ginger forward, basey, like pumpkin spice. That is, again, very much in the category of Cozy Sunday Night and the pumpkin spice like combination that I was getting from Palo Santo. So I flipped it over, and sure enough, this is heirloom pumpkin, fresh ginger, red apple, bizarrely, and cinnamon sugar. At least on cold, I'm not getting a whole lot of apple, although it may be vaguely fruity. But yeah, it's a lot of ginger and it's a lot of pumpkin spice. So I would say that this too is in the category of Cozy Sunday Night and Palo Santo, just minus the wood and the smoke. In terms of smoke, by the way, I think there's some smoke in this candle, although it could be from the burn. But because especially that one sniff when I smelled it in Marshalls and I thought to myself, bonfire, like this is more of a pumpkin bonfire, you know, kind of smell. I want to say that there is some smoke nuances in here, even though it's unlisted, because all they've given us here is wood and suede. Although leather notes can sometimes smell a bit like smoke adjacent, but I do think there's some smoke nuances in this, regardless of carbon residue and sooting, that is a little bit unlisted. And that does set it a bit apart, not only from Autumn Pumpkin Patch, which doesn't have any wood anyway, but it does set it apart from Cozy Sunday Night, because while Cozy Sunday Night does have, I think, a strong like cedar overtone to it, it doesn't really have smoke in it. So there is that. And I do have to say also that at least on the 4-wick, there were some moments where I burned this for multiple hours. Like we're talking 8 hours, a long, long time, and it burned fine, no sooting. So it's obviously a very heavy soy formula. It got a little bit murky, but you know, for how long I burned it, very impressive. I burned this one so long. And because I was, spoiler alert, not getting a whole lot of strength and throw. So I'm like, damn it, I'm burning this in my back bedroom long enough so that I can walk in and smell this fragrance, right? So I walked back there and it almost singed my nose hairs. There's something, when this candle was burned that long, like it got very dry and hot. And like the wood and the smoke just went way up there, you know, and it was like, kind of like one of those like dry saunas, you know, that you might go into, like not the steam ones, but the dry one. It was that kind of an experience. And like that wood, like singed note, like kind of took over the candle and all the pumpkin spice kind of went away. It was that, you know, but then the 3-wick, I couldn't get up to any kind of strength level where I was smelling the wood like that. I had to come very close to it to smell it. And in coming close to it, I was getting more pumpkin spice. And that's when I noticed like the high ginger component in it. That one burned great too. But the wicks. Okay, so tell me if you're like this. Confession time. Whenever people over the last couple years have been like, the wicks from Homeworx have to change. It's the grasshopper legs. They're terrible. I'm losing it in the wax. Like blah, blah, blah. I have literally straight up never had a Homeworx candle have those kinds of wick issues. A lot of other issues, mainly strength and throw related. never had a wick issue. And so whenever people would say that, like low key, I would judge them. I would think to myself, like, I'm sorry, do you like burn candles on a regular basis? Like, you just have to trim them. Like, I don't know what you're doing in your house, but you need to get it together because I don't have problems with Homeworx wicks. Well, I want to eat crow right now. Is it eat crow? Eat pie? Crow pie? Whatever it is, whatever the idiom is, I'm gonna admit, like, this is the first experience I've had with Homeworx candles where the wicks were, like I said, crazy town. Like, every single time I burned them out, like, I had to monitor them as the wax was solidifying, prop up the wicks a million times so that they would stay up, lost several. Here is a picture, for instance, of how the candle was burning at a certain point. This is a top-down shot of this candle burning one time when I lit it up. This is the placement of the wicks. Folks, at no point did the wicks the wick clips never moved, never navigated from their spot, stayed stuck to the bottom for both candles. That navigation of wicks that you're seeing is just because those like crazy town grasshopper leg wicks were just like going over wherever they wanted to go. Like, it was craziness. Trying to keep them lit, trying to keep them in their lane. Insanity. I never want to have this experience ever again now that I've experienced it. Never. So that was a disaster. I mean, it ended up being fine. I monitored it all the way down, but it made, like, a lot of the burns were very low, or like a couple of the wicks were fine and burning high, and the other two were like, you know, I'm over here doing my crazy thing and I can hardly stay above the wax, you know? I mean, it was a trial and a half keeping everything burning high the entire time. But honestly, even if I hadn't had those wick problems, I just don't think the strength and throw on either one of them would have been very good. The 3 wick was significantly worse than the 4 wick. I mean, it was just basically like the 4 wick, only it had 3 wicks. So that was surprising to me. I shouldn't have been. For some reason, I just figured there might be more magic in the 3 wick candle. And I have actually had a couple really great experiences with a couple of their 3 wicks. So I was like, you know, maybe. No, this just performed like the other one, only worse because it had 1 less wick. The huge Palo Santo, I mean, forget trying to burn this in the open concept. It's an absolute no. When I burned it that one time for 8 hours and like got it up to that nose singeing place, I think it was probably up to about a 6.5, maybe a 6.5. Yeah, I think about a 6.5. But that was after like 8 hours of burning. For the most part, after 3 or 4 hours, you could get like maybe a 5 out of the back bedroom. Maybe a 5. In the guest bathroom, I could get it up to about a 5. But this candle is just, it's a no bueno for me. It's just no bueno. The fragrance too had a very like thin, like linear kind of level to it. Even though, I mean, Cozy Sunday Night it's bassy, but it has more layers to it. You've got the spice, you've got the graham, you've got the wood, and you might have a little bit of musk, whatever else. There's some layers and some dynamism too in Cozy Sunday Night. With Palo Santo and Pumpkin, it was just kind of like wood and a vague ginger, you know? But it was all kind of hitting you at one range, not bassy, very soy performance in that you were kind of getting like an impressionistic, like very, I don't know, pale version of what it should have been. So it just wasn't, on a scale of 1 to 10, it wasn't firing. Like, we weren't in 7th gear. We were like in 1 gear, like a little grandma, like, you know, it just wasn't. I don't know what to say. So while it is a beautiful and lovely fragrance that you can kind of smell on cold. It just did not translate and had no strength and throw. So I really think Slatkin needs to go back to the drawing board on this. It needs a lot more. It needs a lot more. I don't know what to say. It's not the most evocative Palo Santo note. It's not quite as unique as like the Bath & Body Works one. Like I said, a little bit closer to cedar than anything else. And it may actually have some cedar in it because it not only has Palo Santo listed, but also this quote unquote suede wood. So it is quite possible that there is Palo Santo, but it is also amplified with some cedar as well. So there you go, Palo Santo Pumpkin. I would not repurchase it again, and not unless I heard reports that it was considerably stronger. And I would say that if you like this kind of thing, that you would probably very much love Cozy Sunday Night, as long as you don't mind that there's not a smoke nuance at all, because Cozy Sunday Night performs 10 times better, much richer, much more dynamic, and it has that cedar and a very strong, frankly, ginger forward pumpkin spice, which is what I was getting from Palo Santo, even though weirdly it lists cinnamon stick. But really, they should list ginger on there. Palo Santo pumpkin puree, ginger, and suede wood. Because while there is a cacophony of the usual pumpkin spices, it is, as with Cozy Sunday Night, extremely ginger forward, which I think is nice. You know, it's nice to take a break from the cinnamon, and it's a nice warm baking ginger. It's just at half or quarter strength. So there you go. I'm going to link all of it down below, but I can't really recommend it except for the fact that it is a fragrance that has a great deal of potential, but is also being duplicated, and there are various different iterations that are much better at other companies, specifically Bath & Body Works. So at a fraction of the cost and greater availability. So there you go. I will link Palo Santo and pumpkin down below, but frankly, just to be shady and passive aggressive, I am also going to link Cozy Sunday Night down below from Bath & Body Works, which I believe is on clearance right now. It may not be available on their website anymore, but you can probably find it in your brick and mortar store for a fraction of whatever these Harry Slatkins are. So there you go, my friends. Thank you so much. I would love for Cozy Sunday Night actually to be repackaged and come out later this year for the holiday season. So I think this could very easily, I hope they have some holiday packaging around the corner, because while I love the neutral marble here, I liked the old packaging better with the wood grain, and I think that you could package this a multiple variety of ways. And like the Marshmallow Fireside, for instance, comes out not only in the fall but also in the winter. I think this is one that could very easily do the same because of all of those spices. There's something that's kind of almost holiday-ish about the spice combination and the wood. So I would love to see this in holiday packaging, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see it, you know, in the next month or so in holiday packaging, or like a late holiday wave of some other favorites that we may have seen earlier. This might be one of them, you know. It'll probably be like this and like Vanilla Birch and Marshmallow Fireside and, you know what I mean? Those Cozy Cashmere or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. So keep your eyes peeled, but if you want one of those clearance ones, check your store right now. Thank you so much for joining me today. Sorry I talked a mile a minute, but that's what happens when I got ye old Starbucks. Coffee week is right around the corner. A couple of my hate burns are coffee candles. I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 coffee candles burned. I have one more to burn. And unless I get some more from Marshall's or TJ Maxx or somewhere else, I would have loved one of those pumpkin espresso martinis. Why could I not have found one? But unless I don't add anything else, I think we should be ready for coffee week in about a week or two. So watch for that too. Thank you, my friends. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.